Jungkook quietly cooked Taehyung's favorite childhood dish during a late-night Weverse live. No explanation, no clear reason, just an emotional expression that made the atmosphere feel different. It wasn't just cooking. Every movement seemed to carry a hidden message he had never expressed before, and that's exactly what left viewers wondering. What was he really trying to say that night? Why did this simple moment feel so deep and touching? Because that night Jungkook wasn't just cooking. It felt like he was telling a story far greater than the food itself. Watch the continuation of this video and don't miss it. Before we start, make sure you're ready to love this moments. Welcome to V Effect. In the stillness of the night, when most of the world had already fallen asleep, Jungkook surprised fans by starting a live broadcast on Weverse. But the atmosphere this time felt very different from usual. There was no booming music or bursts of laughter. In his dimly lit kitchen, Jungkook appeared focused, surrounded by various ingredients laid out on the table. With slow and careful movements, he began cooking a very specific dish. The aroma filling the room seemed to bring back thousands of old memories. In a soft voice, Jungkook shared that he was preparing Taehyung's favorite childhood meal. He remembered every small detail of how it should be served, showing just how much his friend's preferences meant to him. The silence of the night grew heavier as Jungkook paused, staring deeply at the steam rising from the pot. There was a clear sense of longing and affection reflected on his face, an emotional connection that went beyond words. In between cooking, he occasionally wiped the corners of his eyes, making millions of watching fans feel the sincerity behind his actions. Through this simple dish, Jungkook seemed to be conveying a message left unspoken. That night's broadcast was not just a cooking tutorial, but a love letter expressed through aroma and taste. When the dish was finally finished, a wave of emotion filled the atmosphere, leaving a lasting impression of how strong the bond of friendship and memories they had built over the years truly was. Under the warm glow of the kitchen lights in the dim night, Jungkook stood watching a steaming pan. With great care he stirred the rich japchae broth, a legendary recipe from Taehyung's mother. The aroma rose into the air, intertwining with the steam, creating a swirl of memories that filled the space. Dressed casually in a thin white t-shirt that revealed the tattoos on his right arm, his expression remained deeply focused. His artistic fingers handled the spatula with the grace of a chef, yet his eyes reflected the tenderness of a husband preparing a surprise. On the corner of the table, a small tripod held his phone, still broadcasting live on Weverse. The bright screen displayed thousands of fast-scrolling comments, but Jungkook only glanced at them occasionally. His focus remained on the pan, on the perfect blend of flavors. Purple hearts, the symbol of their everlasting love, continued to flood the screen, reinforcing the promise of, "I purple you," they had shared with the world. Jungkook smiled softly at the sight, knowing fans were witnessing this heartfelt moment. Meanwhile, in the spacious and quiet living room, Taehyung lay curled up on the sofa, fast asleep from the exhaustion of his packed filming schedule. Fatigue weighed on his body, yet in his peaceful sleep, he had no idea that his other half was cooking his favorite comfort food. His sleep was deep strands of hair covering his eyes, his breathing steady, a reflection of the sense of safety he found in the home they had built together. Taehyung had just returned from a tiring overseas photo shoot. The moment he got home, he collapsed without even having time to clean up, let alone eat. Jungkook, whose schedule was lighter that day, welcomed him with a warm hug and a kiss on the forehead before letting him rest. But he knew Taehyung's stomach was empty, and nothing could restore his energy better than homemade japchae. Jungkook himself was tired, but that fatigue faded when he saw Taehyung's peaceful sleeping face. For him, preparing this meal was not a task, it was the purest form of devotion and love. With every ingredient he added, he whispered small prayers for Taehyung's health and happiness. He wanted the first thing Taehyung felt upon waking to be the warmth of home and the love of his husband. Their married life was not always this simple. As two top global idols, they had to navigate schedules that often didn't align. There were weeks when they could only exchange short messages, or meet for just a few hours between world tours. But that was what made moments like this so precious. They learned to cherish every second they had, creating memories in small things like cooking in the middle of the night. Suddenly, the increasingly fragrant aroma of japchae seeped into Taehyung's dreams. He stirred slightly on the sofa. His beautiful eyes slowly opened, blinking as he tried to recognize his surroundings. The dizziness in his head began to fade, replaced by a growing hunger. He sat up slowly, stretching lazily as if loosening his stiff muscles. "What is that smell?" Taehyung murmured in a hoarse, just-woken voice. His eyes began to sparkle as he recognized the familiar scent. Slowly, he rose from the sofa and walked toward the kitchen, following the delicious aroma. His steps were quiet, careful not to startle Jungkook, who was still busy at the stove. Leaning against the kitchen doorway, he watched Jungkook from behind. The tattoos on his husband's arm contrasted beautifully with the white t-shirt, yet looked perfectly fitting. Jungkook's slightly messy hair from the cooking steam added to his masculine charm. Taehyung smiled, his heart filled with warmth at the sight of his husband's sincerity. Still focused on the pan, Jungkook hadn't noticed Taehyung's presence. He was balancing the flavor of the japchae by adding a bit of soy sauce and sugar, continuing to stir as purple hearts kept flooding the phone screen. Taehyung slowly approached, then hugged Jungkook from behind. Resting his head on Jungkook's broad shoulder, he inhaled the scent of his husband's perfume mixed with the aroma of the dish. "Are you cooking japchae?" he whispered softly, his voice sounding spoiled and affectionate. Jungkook was startled but quickly broke into a wide smile. He set the spatula aside and turned around, wrapping his arms around Taehyung's waist. "Yeah, love. I know you're really tired, so I made this for you. You're awake now?" he asked gently, gazing at Taehyung with affection. Taehyung nodded, then kissed Jungkook's cheek. "Thank you, love. You always know what I need." "I'm really hungry," he admitted, his stomach growling as if to prove his words. The Weverse live broadcast was still ongoing, but Jungkook and Taehyung seemed to forget the thousands of eyes watching them. They were focused only on each other, on this rare moment together. Purple hearts continued to pour across the screen, as if celebrating their sincere love. That night, in the dim kitchen, they enjoyed the japchae together. No words were spoken, only the sounds of eating and relieved breaths filled the space. Their fatigue and stress slowly melted away, replaced by pure happiness. They both knew that behind the busyness and pressures of life, they always had each other to lean on. And that was what kept them strong. After finishing Jungkook's japchae down to the last bite, Taehyung, with his usual playful nature, began teasing his husband. Resting his head on Jungkook's shoulder, he pretended to complain about being too full, though his eyes sparkled mischievously. "Ah, Kookie, my stomach is so full." "But," he pointed at the phone still streaming live, "won't Army get jealous seeing me eat your cooking like this?" Jungkook chuckled, gently pinching Taehyung's cheek. "They're happy when you're full, Tae. Don't try to tease them." This small joke dissolved the remaining tension of the night, turning the emotional atmosphere into their signature light laughter. Realizing they had shared quite a long personal moment, Jungkook finally leaned closer to the phone screen to greet the fans. With his signature bunny smile and sincere eyes, he said, "Army, thank you so much for keeping me company tonight. I hope you've all eaten well and aren't going hungry watching us." Beside him, Taehyung waved enthusiastically, adding in his deep, soothing voice, "Sleep well, everyone. Don't forget to have sweet dreams about us." Though brief, this interaction radiated warmth to the millions watching. Before ending the broadcast, Jungkook and Taehyung gave one final surprise that Army had been waiting for. They posed together, forming a big heart with their intertwined hands, smiling brightly at the camera. "Taekook heart for you," they said in unison. On the screen, waves of purple hearts exploded endlessly, as if returning the love they had given. It became the perfect closing visual, reaffirming the strong bond between them and their loyal fans. In the final moments, they delivered a closing message filled with love and hope. "Remember, Army, love yourselves the way we love you," Jungkook said seriously. Taehyung added, "And please take good care of your health. We want you to always be happy." These simple yet sincere messages felt even more personal, coming directly from their home in such an intimate setting. Just before Jungkook pressed the end live button, he and Taehyung exchanged a deep look, one filled with understanding built over years together. With one last wave and a cheerful "Annyeong," the screen slowly faded to black. Behind that darkness, their love story continued. A story of friendship that had grown into a peaceful marriage, proven through simple acts like cooking in the middle of the night. That night, it wasn't just their stomachs that were full, but also the hearts of millions of Army, warmed by the authenticity and sincerity of their love. Leave your positive comments here. The best comment will be pinned as a way to honor their love. Thank you to everyone who continues to support this channel. May God reward all of your kindness. This video reflects my personal opinion and interpretation. It is made for entertainment purposes only and does not represent confirmed facts.